They say you don't just marry a man, you marry his entire bloodline. But what if that bloodline was cursed? What if someone in the family wanted you gone, not because of who you are, but because of the name you carry? This is not just a story of jealousy, it's a story of blood, betrayal, and a sister in law so wicked even the spirits whispered her name in fear. Her name was Amarachi, and she didn't just want a sister, she wanted a sacrifice. When he came married Chidin, she thought she had found peace at last. A gentleman, a beautiful mansion, a new beginning. But no one wondered about the woman who ruled that home before she arrived. Amarachi, Chidi's older sister, elegant, respected, admired by all, but behind those perfectly drawn brows and soft smiles was something cold and deadly. Amarachi never raised her voice, she never openly insulted Nkem, but her hatred was poison wrapped around pearls. A whispered word here, a subtle sabotage there, and slowly Nkem's marriage began to crumble. Every time Nkem smiled, Amarachi found a way to dim it. She added salt to her stew, then told Chidi it tasted like ocean water. She moved things in the kitchen and told the family Nkem was careless. She called family meetings when Nkem was asleep, then said she was too proud to attend. But it was the little things that hurt the most. The way Chidi's had begun to change, the way the house suddenly felt cold, and how Nkem would wake at night, gasping for air, with her name echoing faintly from the corners of the room. Nkem, Nkem. At first she thought she was just imagining it, until one morning, while sweeping the backyard, she noticed the ground beneath the mango tree had been freshly disturbed. Curiosity led her hands to the soil. There, buried just inches beneath, was a black calabash wrapped in a red thread. Inside it, a note written in strange ink. It read, "Let her fade, let her silence be eternal, let her name be buried." It was signed with her name, Nkem. Her hands trembled, her breath caught in her throat, and in that moment she knew Amarachi wasn't just jealous, she was dangerous. That night she confronted her, but Amarachi simply smiled, lips painted blood red, and whispered, "You shouldn't dig in places you don't understand, dear." Before we continue this chilling tale, do me a quick favor if you are new here. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing family of story lovers. We tell stories that whispers in your dreams. Now back to Nkem's descent into darkness. Nkem's body began to change. She lost weight, her skin dulled, her hair came out in clumps. Her husband, once tender, now avoided her touch. She cried alone in the guest bathroom. She screamed into pillows. She tried to pray, but even her voice began to crack. One night, she fainted in the hallway, and as she slipped into unconsciousness, she heard it again. A voice, low and ancient, whispering from beneath the floorboards. "You were not the first, you will not be the last." Desperate, Nkem reached out to the only person who would talk, the housemaid. The girl, barely 19, lowered her gaze and whispered, "You shouldn't have married him. The first fiancé died mysteriously." Amarachi said it was malaria, but her body was never found with her. Her name was taken. Nkem froze. That's when it all made sense. She turned to the church. She sought the help of a blind prophetess, a woman known to see what others feared. The prophetess touched the king's hand and shivered. "She buried your name in the ground and offered your voice to the spirits, but she cannot take what God has not given. At midnight, burn what was buried, then write her name in chalk. Speak these words: Return what was stolen, restore what was lost." Nkem obeyed. That night, under the cold moon, she burned the calabash. She wrote Amarachi Okafor in white chalk on the floor, and with trembling lips chanted the words 3 times. Suddenly, the wind screamed through the windows, the lights flickered, and upstairs, Amarachi let out a blood-curdling shriek. By morning, everything had changed. Nkem's fever vanished, her appetite returned. Her husband dropped to his knees and wept, begging for forgiveness, unaware of how deep the darkness had pulled in. The elders were called, and Amarachi's secrets spilled like old wine on white linen. She had made a pact with something ancient. Each bride was an offering to protect her wealth, her power, her throne. But she had gone too far, and this time the spirit chose a different fate. Amarachi was banished from the family, silenced, stripped of all ties, but some say she never truly left. To this day, Nkem walk past the mango tree and feels the earth shift. Some nights, she swears she hears scratching beneath the soul, a name trying to rise again. Amarachi, they say names carry power, but some names should never be spoken again. So if your sister-in-law ever hugs you too tightly, watch her hands and pray your name doesn't end up buried. Moral of this story: family isn't always a blessing. Sometimes it's a battle for your name, your voice, and your soul. And not every smile is sincere, and every sister is not sent by God. Bye.